Is Rich Dad, Poor Dad still relevant? Well, let's get to that yes or no at the end of this conversation. Let's talk about that. It's a book that came out. I met them in 1996 around Sharon Lecter's kitchen table. Also, that cash flow game wasn't even produced, and I was there at the beginning. So I have a lot to say about this. Specifically in this video and the relevance of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I want to talk about how really Rich Dad, Poor Dad changed the finance, not only game the conversation, it added a conversation from Think and Grow Rich to some relative kind of very gentle books in the finance space to just putting it straight out in front. And it gave us a principle that we now live by. And all of my work is expounded on. I always say Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the why get rich, and the Millionaire Maker work is the how to do it all. Number two, I want to talk about my story. I was part of that team. I was part of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad team. I was the cash flow master distributor from 96 to about 2000. Helped put that game on the map, which changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. And then number three, how I took that experience of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad team, and I'm going to give you my $1 trillion tips and how today you can still keep that relevant and put it in your life now. So what did Rich Dad, Poor Dad do? I'm going to just give you some very specific statistics. Right? It's a timeless classic. It's actually introduced personal finance in a way that most people hadn't thought about it. Because I think people could relate to a rich dad and a poor dad. They could relate to being in a rich family or a poor family. Now, even though that was a myth, right, and it was a cute story, it changed people's thinking because it was relative. They could actually relate to it. There was a game that came with it, which also created a conversation, and I was the master distributor of that game. And it emphasized the importance of having assets, creating passive income, and living on passive income instead of living on active income. And most of you still, although you love the idea of it, you haven't changed your life to it. So what I did, being part of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad team and the cash flow group, is I went from the reaction. What did people say when they played cash flow? And if you haven't played it for a while, go play it. What's your reaction? You'll be, now how do I put this in my life? Hence why I came up with this. This is the how-to. How do you now take the principles of Rich Dad, Poor Dad and become it in your life? Become the rich parents, right? So from Millionaire Maker to how do you invest to my How Do You Make Your Kids Millionaires, the new book that's actually personal finance book of 2022, the personal finance book of the year, How You Make Your Kids Millionaires. It's a checklist. It's the how-tos down to banking, entities, trust. How do you do all that? And not only did I do that, I actually built you a team. 28 financial experts are on my team to help you execute that entire principle in your life at a very how-to level. So is it still relevant today? What are the pros and cons? Well, today, there's so much emphasis in just real estate and really entrepreneurialism and growing a business and flipping businesses, growing subscription-based technical businesses are really a bigger game. So is real estate still the only game? Prices are high. Interest rates are high. We're in an interesting recession. So playing the Rich Dad, Poor Dad cash flow strategy in today's real estate market isn't as relevant. So you have to continue to edify and really edit those strategies. Can you still do amazing real estate? Yes, I do amazing real estate. I love real estate development, but I moved more towards storage, RV parks, land development, Airbnbs. Airbnbs weren't even a thing when the Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the cash flow game were written. So yes, it's relevant in concept. How to put the exact specifics in, you need an active mentor and coach. So that would be me. Why? Because I'm super active and relevant in buying and flipping companies, building companies, being super active in the market. So if you want a strategy session to see how do I work with our team, which I'm going to say is the how-to team of the Rich Dad brand. We put it into effect, we live it into effect, and I still live it today, down to how do you bank, how do you use an LLC, how do you wrap it all up so you actually can stay the rich parents. And I'm a single rich mom, right? In fact, I have a website called Rich Mom, Single Mom. Why? Because just because you're a single parent and the amount of divorce, blended families and diverse families that have happened since the pandemic is at an all-time high. So as that all broke up, that doesn't mean you have to be poor, and that doesn't mean you have to go backwards. So you use the concepts of Rich Dad, Poor Dad from the late 90s, and you build upon them, but you make them relevant for 2023. And how do they translate to today? We do it all the time. We have calls every week. So if you haven't been to our Millionaire Intensive, go to the description below, grab 2 tickets. If you've been, come back. The repetition of learning is so pivotal for you and your life and your family's life. Get your kids involved. So right now, I want you to subscribe to my channel. Click that notification button. You and your children should be here. Your friends and family should be here. You can't just get rich by yourself in a quiet little box. It's fascinating to me how many of you say, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to join Loral's program. I'm not going to tell anybody because I'm embarrassed that I joined this group. Are you kidding? The way people are made is through communities and mentoring and coaching. That's how entrepreneurs are made. That's how millionaires are made. And we leverage each other's relationships. So even as a multimillionaire, I'm still in other people's communities. They're in my communities. We share resources. We leverage resources. We leverage revenue. We leverage investment dollars. So being in the community means getting to the playing field and being an active income builder and wealth builder. And that's what we do. And it's an extension of what the Rich Dad Poor Dad brand did to kind of wake up the world. Very similarly, Think and Grow Rich. Still a classic, time-valued piece of work. I mean, I love that book. I have it always available. You should have it available. There's always some nugget that you could pick up out of Rich Dad Poor Dad, out of Think and Grow Rich, out of some of the greatest classics. I plan on this being one of the greatest classics of your life. Why? Because it documents how to be a millionaire. You said, yeah, but it was written in 2005 and 6. So how you become a millionaire is always how you become a millionaire. You make money, you keep money, you invest it with a team. The team around you is the pivotal part that I put together, because early in my career, I actually sent you out and said, hey, go find this team. Well, it's actually hard to find people in the alternatives, right? There's the Western financial traditional models of money, and there's the alternatives. Just like in health, there's the medical old models, and there's the alternatives. Who's the healthiest and the wealthiest? Those who live in the alternatives. So grab a copy of my Millionaire Maker book. Come to my Millionaire Intensive. They're in the description notes below. And if you want a strategy session to learn how can I actually work with you, how do I put this in my life, again, get a strategy session today. Ask any question at askloral.com. So let me finish by telling you some of my $1 trillion tips. My number one is you don't have any mindset or fear issues with money. You have a lack of knowledge. So the best asset you could ever give yourself is to lean in and start reading, consuming, and really get committed that this isn't just a hobby or some side thing you do. It is the thing you do. I mean, from the minute you walk on this planet to the minute you walk off this planet, you are going to deal with money. You're going to do it incompetently and guessing and hoping that your friends and family give you the right answers, or you're going to lean in and say, I'm going to the best. I'm going to the people who now, for over 20-something years, I've been making millionaires and doing this. So let me help you become a millionaire and keep the Rich Dad Poor Dad principles relevant in your life, in your family. Let me talk you through a trust and generational wealth plan. We have an extraordinary generational wealth 3-day course that's been put together. You can click on the link. You can grab it for a very reasonable amount. People paid thousands and thousands to go to that workshop. You can get it for $197. Click on the link, grab my generational wealth workshop, which puts together the power team that you're going to need to build wealth for the rest of your life. So go grab that. I'll see you at my Millionaire Intensive. I'll talk to you tomorrow.